two driving forces behind the band Stereolab are Tim Gain, who's a Brit, and Letitia Sadler, who's French. Now, they had a romantic connection in the early years of the band. The third person who was pretty important was Mary Hansen, who was an Australian, who, when she was in the band, did backing vocals and many instruments, but unfortunately she died. The band have existed from 1990 to 2009, and again from 2019 to now. So I'm presuming they're waiting for the next time when there's a 9 in the year before they take another break, because all those years have got 9s in them. They have 10 albums so far, and their most recent was in 2010. Hi, my name's Dan, and this is the 5th album by Stereolab. So I've heard of them, but I'm not sure that I've heard more of them than individual tracks on compilations, and I may not have paid a huge amount of attention because it came as a little bit of a surprise, this album, when I listened to it. So I think I knew that there was some electronic component going on, but I really didn't expect the sound that I got. And people seem to have been confused by them. So Wikipedia has given them about 5 genres. Acclaim Music gave them at least 2, maybe 3, I can't remember, sorry. I feel less confused because I think I can pin down exactly what they are in terms of a genre. Here we go. They are progressive electro lounge. Never heard of it? Yeah, that's because I've just made it up. All right. Okay, but I feel like this is descriptive, but I'm going to spend a bit of time now describing them. So in these reviews, what I tend to try and do is have 3 elements. The first one is kind of to give some background and some information about the album, maybe about the band, and things like that. So it's information to contextualize. The second is to describe the music and the album, and I think I spend most of my time on description. And the third one is to give some opinion, and so some critical thought on the album. This review is going to spend, I think, quite a bit of time on the description, because there's quite a lot here to describe. So first of all, there is some electronic stuff in here. It's definitely got an electronic feel. There's some more at times than others. There are elements here of glitch kind of stuff, which is kind of fast changes and sounding like it's not quite, something broken. The stuttery stuff, which sounds like you would if you got some sound and you got 2 wires that might connect together and go like that and kind of make it kind of burst through in little bits. There's definitely old electronic instruments at play here. Apparently this is one of their big things for Stereolab. So analog and pretty early electronic instrumentation going on at times. Then the other major thing that's in here is kind of completely almost at odds with that, which is lounge music. So I'm thinking about, or talking about 1960s easy listening stuff. And there was a lot of vocal stuff around at that time, but this kind of especially kind of has the Latin beats feel. So I can't remember the names of the people who were involved, but also there'd be bands, well, kind of orchestras, they often call themselves, who would play this kind of music. And it reminded me at times of 1960s BBC theme tunes for TV programs, but definitely kind of vocal. If there is one track in the world that typifies this sound of music, it's The Girl from Ipanema, which is the bossa nova thing and hugely well known. So it's got this kind of mellow feel to it. Now, this is kind of emphasized not just in the way that it's produced and the way it's put together, but the instruments and the sounds that are used. So there's quite a lot of sounds like vibraphones, organs, kind of gentle brass. The drumming is mellow drumming often, and with a particular emphasis on the ride cymbal, which makes it feel a little bit more jazzy. There's hand percussion going on at various points, which gives it more of that Latin feel, and the beats are quite often quite Latin. And the unusual thing is that I think that it really works. Somehow they managed to get these two very disparate things, bung them together, and get pizza and salads. Two different things that just go well together, and it's working. So occasionally there's kind of more electro feel. There's some interesting sounds being used. There's one track that's quite drum and bass, which I particularly like. But then they kind of do this thing. They start it off as drum and bass, and then they introduce the Latin stuff, and you kind of go, look, here, you can do Latin with drum and bass. And it's, it's great. There's some odd rhythms at times, particularly there's some odd time signatures. I enjoyed counting along, trying to work out what the time signatures were. I think there was something that was in, I think it was in 10/8 time, if I worked it out right. There's some the chord progressions tend to be quite simple and quite repetitive, often on one chord for a long time, then going up on one chord and then coming back down again. But the chords themselves are fairly extended chords, often. So again, that gives that kind of slight jazz lounge feel to it. So things like, I want to say major sevenths, because that's what I can hear in there, but I know that there's probably ninths, maybe even 11ths creeping in at times. Right, let's talk about the vocals. So the voices, there are two female voices here. So they are the main singer, whose name I have just forgotten, and the backing singer, whose name I have just forgotten. I did them in the intro. And it sounds like lounge singing. It's kind of got that laid-back, gentle feel, like you're kind of, whispering almost into a microphone. Not quite. Some of it's in English. Some of it's in French, some of it's nonsense stuff, but mostly it's kind of French or English. And the relationship between the main vocal and the backing vocal is very nice and very good, and they've got this kind of unusual counterpoint thing that they do, where the girl in the backing is singing something different, but they fit together, and it all feels kind of good from that. Now, apparently the lyrics, they have a general tendency towards political and philosophical stuff. A lot of it was in French, so I didn't understand it. In English, I didn't necessarily pick up a lot of what they were singing about. For me, the lyrics weren't really a focus here, and I wonder if there's a deliberate attempt to get these political and messages in a kind of subversive way, so that you don't think about them, and then you kind of pick them up as you get into it. So that eventually, I've come to the end of the description. I'm going to give you some opinion now. I love it. It was really nice. It was inventive. It's smooth. It's kind of got a real gentleness to it. It rolls on. There's some really long tracks that are not just the same thing over and over. There's several parts, and it develops as it goes on. There's a lot to dig into it. I've listened twice. I've picked up different things both times, and I'm sure I'll pick up more as I went through. So I'm not necessarily a huge fan of lounge music generally, but I think this is a really good adaptation of it into the modern world, and it's beautifully produced. It's so exquisite in the way that it's done, and it's just really nice sounds, and there's some nice grooves. I felt that I'd kind of got into it in quite a big way, really. So I really liked it, but I'd love to know what you think. You might hate it, you might love it, you might have other information about this that I haven't got because I'm a newcomer to it. Please do share, don't be shy. Talk to me through the comments box, please. That's it from me for now.